Good afternoon once again, Year 5, and welcome to your history lesson. This week we are learning a bit about Tutankhamun, who was a boy pharaoh in ancient Egyptian times. So today we're going to have a look at some information about him, and then on Thursday you guys are going to be making your own little presentations, however you would like to make them, with some more information that you have found about King Tut. So let's share my screen. And first of all, let's have a look at some of the key events in ancient Egyptian times. So we've got when the first settlers in the Nile Valley came, we've got the first use of hieroglyphics, the first pyramids, we've got Tutankhamun becomes pharaoh there as well. So 1336 BC is when we are going back to here. So some key vocabulary for today. So Tutankhamun was an ancient pharaoh who became pharaoh as a young boy. He's often referred to as King Tut because Tutankhamun, to be honest, is a bit of a nightmare to spell. A sarcophagus is a stone coffin which is usually intricately designed, and a tomb is a large vault used for burying the dead. They are often underground, but as we can see from the Great Pyramids, not always. Let's look at our questions that recap on some key knowledge from times gone by. So what is the longest river in the world? Hopefully you will all get that because it's quite pertinent to the learning that we're doing at the moment. Hint, hint. What year was the Great Fire of London? You should have covered this in year 2, I believe. And from last time, what did ancient Egyptians put internal organs into when they were mummified? What was the name of the things they put them into? So have a go at answering those on the scaffold in teams and then return to me. Okay, so the longest river in the world is the River Nile. If you look that some people believe that it is the River Amazon, that's absolutely fine. But I think officially it's the River Nile. The Great Fire of London was in 1666 that it started, not to be mistaken with 1066, which was the Battle of Hastings, or 1966, which was when England won the World Cup. And the ancient Egyptians put internal organs into something called canopic jars when they were removed from the body when they were being mummified. So let's learn a little bit about Tutankhamun going through our old friend BBC Bitesize. Let me make sure I'm sharing the sound. And sharing the right screen would probably help as well, to be honest. There we go. Okay, so have a listen.
Tutankhamun, ruler of Egypt from around 1332 to 1323 BC.
Yes, that's me.
You're Tutankhamun?
The very same.
I was expecting someone...
Older? I've been king since I was 9, you know.
Wow, I wasn't even allowed to walk to school on my own, and you're in charge of a whole country.
I do have advisors, General Horemheb and an official called I, who help me make decisions.
You haven't ruled for long, though. You must have made a big impression.
That's mainly because I fixed some mistakes my dad made. You see, he forced everyone to worship a god called Aten, which was pretty unpopular. So I've let people worship their old gods and built lots of statues to them.
So what's all this stuff?
Just a few bits and pieces I'll bring on my journey into the afterlife.
Whoa! You've got jewellery, chariots, furniture, wine, weapons and board games?
Well, the afterlife goes on for a while, so I'll need something to do.
I hope you keep this lot safely tucked away in a tomb.
Yeah, sure. It'll be in a tomb in the Valley of the Kings, so it's like, well safe.
I wouldn't be so sure. My local museum has lots of things that archaeologists have brought back from expeditions to Egypt. I'm sure some of these items look familiar.
Can you see anything? Yes, wonderful things. Wonderful things.
Okay, so there was a bit of a cartoon depiction of some information about Tutankhamun. So let's have a look at a little bit more info as well. How do I do this again? There we go. So Tutankhamun became pharaoh after the death of his father, Akhenaten. Akhenaten was a very controversial ruler. He outlawed all of the gods except for one called Aten. The people were very unhappy with this change, and after Akhenaten's death, destroyed many of his statues and monuments. Tutankhamun inherited the throne at the age of 9 or 10, we're not sure which. Because he was so young, he had powerful advisors around him to help him rule Egypt. They included General Horemheb and Grand Vizier Ay. Tutankhamun reversed many of his father's decisions. People were allowed to worship the old gods again, and damaged temples were repaired. He moved the Egyptian capital back to Thebes. So the Egyptian capital now is in Cairo, but that hasn't always been the case. Tutankhamun reigned for roughly 10 years. He died around the age of 18 and was buried in a tomb in the Valley of the Kings. His burial place was hidden for many centuries. It was discovered by the Egyptologist Howard Carter in 1922, which is an amazing way of saying that he studied ancient Egypt, basically. It contained many amazing artifacts, including Tutankhamun's famous golden death mask, a chariot, and a dagger made from meteorite iron. So that would have been made from a meteor that had collided with the earth and been turned into a dagger, which is pretty cool. So let's have a look at a quick video about Howard Carter as well, because he's very important in our story of Tutankhamun. All sorts going on my computer today, my apologies. There we go. Okay, let me get rid of this. Let me scroll down. There we go.
This is it. This is where it happened, that magical moment where Carter found the entrance to the tomb. Things have been tidied up a bit since his time, but nevertheless still very exciting. And down these few steps is the entrance and the tomb itself. This is the first door where Carter found the seals intact. He then started to remove the rubble and go down the descending passage as I am now. Carter reached the second door. Here it is, also filled with rubble plastered over, seals intact. Goodness me, this is exciting. Well, he then made a little hole here. I suppose hoping against hope they wouldn't see a sea of devastation. Looked through this little tunnel and saw something that made him turn back to Carnarvon standing up there and say, I can see wonderful things. He realised the tomb had not been pillaged by robbers in antiquity. Much survived. He saw in front of him a series of great ritual couches, gilded animal heads, chests down there, a great treasury of artefacts, bits of chariots all around. And over here, when he came in, there was a wall since removed, a rubble wall, dividing this, the antechamber, from the burial chamber. And here we see the sarcophagus of Tutankhamun with one of the coffins inside it. Of course, in that coffin is the young pharaoh's body.
So that was the experience that Howard Carter would have had when he first discovered Tutankhamun's tomb. So your job today is going to be to have a think about something very iconic. So pictured on the screen there is Tutankhamun's iconic mask, and this will be an image that lots of you are familiar with. So there's two parts to today's job. The first part is to have a go at drawing this mask. Now, in Teams, there is a resource that I think you can't edit that's got that picture larger. Obviously, you won't be able to do this part on Teams, but please do snap a picture and send it over as well. But your second part of your job is going to be to think like a historian and think about what does this tell us about ancient Egypt and about Tutankhamun. So it tells us that he was clearly rich and important because of how grand it was, but it also tells us that ancient Egyptians had incredible craftsmen to be able to do this, that they were able to melt gold and mold gold, that they were able to, that they did all of these things to celebrate the lives of pharaohs. So what else does it tell you about Tutankhamun and about ancient Egypt? Later on in the week, I'm going to give you some websites that you can use to do your own research on Tutankhamun, to have a go at making a presentation with information about him. So hopefully you guys will find that really good fun as well.